Bill Walton was 71.
Yeah, too young.
Bows out with the Pac-12.
Yeah, a day after the Pac-12 officially ended and shut its doors, Bill bowed out himself, and it's kind of fitting because I don't know if Bill is the Pac-10. Like if there was a representative for that crappy conference and all the missteps, one of the real bright.
He loved it.
Hey! Conference of Champions.
Conference of Champions. That's right.
Yeah.
Bill was such a natural and made things look effortless. I could listen to him talk about paint drying and somehow learn something about John Wooden.
Remember when
from Deal.
Remember when he came on and was talking to us about teepees?
Oh yeah.
Like
you couldn't contain him. Like
No.
if you had him on, get ready for a 25-minute interview.
Yeah,
and that was quite all right because you knew it would be entertaining. You just didn't know what the subject would be.
There was one time we had him on, and this was the TP rant, because I guess the people that made his TP are local here, and I don't even know if we asked him a question. I think we came on, we introduced him, and then I think Bill just went for like 13 minutes, and you may, after 13 minutes, may have gotten one in where like you were trying to say goodbye to him, and then he went for like another 12 minutes. So technically, I don't even know if a question was asked during that interview, and it went on for 20 plus minutes.
I only had one experience with him like that professionally, and it was he was throwing out the first pitch for Grateful Dead night at the San Francisco Giants game, which was perfectly fitting for him. And we had him on our pregame talk show that was an hour long. We had him booked for a segment, and it was supposed to go 7 minutes.
You fools.
Well, and we knew the host, Greg Papa, had interviewed him many times before, knew him well. But Greg said, "Hey Bill, how have you been?" And Bill's answer was roughly 7 minutes long, and he wrapped it up with, "And how are you, Greg?" And Greg goes, "And we're going to break. Thanks for stopping by, Bill."
Classic Bill. And that was not a bit.
No.
Although I generally think he knew what he was doing. I think it was fun for him to just say what he wanted and see if anybody would challenge him or stop him.
And he admitted that when he started a lot of those, like he would say that I don't really know where I'm going. I just want to talk. He just wanted to talk, and he was passionate about so many things. And just the way his brain works is like he'd be talking about something, and like he'll be talking about Portland, and then Portland be like, "Hey, I rode my bike through there. And hey, there was a guy that made teepees there, and it's just, and then from volcano, and like it just, I think when he those squirrel moments when something popped into his head, he had the inability to not talk about it. It's just when something popped into his head, he had to explore that.
He just go with it.
And the way he did it was, again, it seemed like bits, but like that's the way he talked.
Well, and he was a wordsmith with it. He just would
Yeah.
make it sound so amazing and over the top.
Well, you think about how many people go through life, and the impact that you make, and he's one of those guys that, and I know his life wasn't all razzleberry, Frogurt, and scones. Again, he dealt with an extreme amount of pain in his feet, in his back, and he talked about that. But boy, man, take basketball aside, you want to talk about someone that left the world a better place? Like, I'm jealous of that. That he was such a loving, caring human being. And think about like the whole counterculture thing at that time, because he was a 6'11", long-haired, headband wearing, LSD taking, bong ripping, hippie on a bike, and yet he didn't get any of that crap that comes along with that. He transcended all of those. He was such a good person that everyone could kind of wrap their arms around him, whether you believed in what he believed in or not. Someone even said on the Vancouver 4 text line, they said their favorite part about Bill was, they said, I pretty much disagreed with everything that Bill believed as far as how to live your life, and yet I still felt like he was my friend and I'd want to sit down and have a beer with him. And that in a day and age where, God, we're so polarized and everyone has their buttholes clenched all the time, and we're just looking for reasons to be pissed and looking for reasons to disagree with someone, be more like Bill Walton. Dude, just put a smile on your face and love the person next to you. The world was a better place because of that. And we would all be better people if we were more like Bill. Well, maybe less LSD, though, because that kind of freaks me out.
The beauty of Bill is that it's really hard to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing, is we can all say that. We all kind of know that, don't we?
Yeah.
That's not easy to do.
No,
that's why he's so great.
Yeah.
And
it was genuine.
It totally was genuine. He did it from day one. Like, here's a text on the Vancouver 4 text line that says, my great grandmother and dad were at Bill Walton's house in 73, 74, 75 for anti-Vietnam war rallies.
Yeah.
This was in Portland. And my dad told me he was the greatest dude he ever met. So full of life and enthusiasm from the beginning, his life was more than his accomplishments, but what he could do to better humanity. Yeah. And that's right. I mean, he was on that from day one.
Yeah. And it's funny because
he was a natural leader.
Yes.
A natural leader. And that's not, I mean, I think he's just born with it, but that's not easy to do either.
He also feels like a unifier to me, like a guy that can bring others together, like not just like leading by example, like do things my way, but like, hey, my presence can help connect you to you and make everyone a little bit more whole.
Well, when you said that it was natural and we all know how to do that and it's still hard, that really resonated with me because I struggle with that. Like I want to be more like that, but I don't know how. It's just not me.
Not that easy.
Right? It is. That is one of the that's just one of the hardest things. You know that you're better off that way, and it's hard not to come off as cheesy. Like I think about like Russell Wilson or like Tim Tebow, who I think by all accounts are pretty good dudes, but it comes off very cheesy and preachy and kind of fake, and that's not the deal with Bill. And when things come along, I don't know why I thought of this, but like remember when Ted Lasso was a big deal? Like again, it's like that. It's like a golden retriever. There's just things that make you feel good, and you don't really know why. They're just wholesome, and they put you in a better mood, and it hits a nerve, and it's that nerve where we all want to be better. We all want to be nicer. We want to have more elements like that. And Bill was that. He was a human version of that. But that really resonated with me when you said, we all know it. It's just really hard to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's why he's great.
It's why he's great.
And it was
effortless for him.
Well, and he was really smart and interesting and inquisitive. And like you said, he was authentic. He didn't preach.
No.
You know, and that's where you lose a lot of people.
Yep.
Is when you start preaching at them.
Yeah. And you get
like you know better. He never was that. He just was like, here's what here's how I feel, and he would just describe it in some like acid trip way that it's like, wow, how can I not love this?
Yeah.
Even though some people, I mean, he probably wasn't their cup of tea calling games because he was just so wild.
Well, he was controversial in that. There were a lot of people. I mean, today obviously is a day to remember the greatness, but there were plenty of people from a broadcast standpoint that did not like him. They were not. That was not their.
Yeah,
it was a different flavor. It was a seriously different flavor. So if you're going for the highbrow basketball analysis towards the end of his career, you're just not going to get that. You have to know that going in. And I understand if you don't like it, but that was authentically who he was and the part of him that made him great. But there are a lot of people that felt that way, and that's fair. But I think those people also respected Bill just for who he was because he marched to his own beat.
And I just say be more like Bill, and you don't have to take LSD, and although maybe whatever your thing is, but just again have a thirst for knowledge and be inquisitive and ask people about themselves and learn.
But don't be Aaron Rodgers.
Oh God! And you know what? That's another great. You're on a roll today, because
thank you.
I thought those are two very very.
Rodgers is like that.
He is, but this is where you were saying.
He's preachy.
He's preachy, and he comes across like a prick.
Like he knows it all.
Yes, and he comes across as unlikable. And Buck, you said it, that Bill was a unifier, and I feel like Aaron for a lot of he's a divider.
Yep.
And that's that you're right. Both are searchers, both are inquisitive, both read a lot, and yet one feels like he brings people together with it, and the other one just feels like he's a judgmental.
And he knows more than the next guy all of a sudden. Yeah.
It's almost as if humans are complicated. But that man.
It felt like he had it figured out, though.
He was great.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even think I think he would tell you he didn't have anything figured out, and that was the beauty of him.
Yeah. And maybe that's the figuring it out part, is realizing that you don't know, and you're constantly learning and evolving. And
well, I think that's part of leadership, which is why he was such a great leader.
Yeah.
Is they know they don't have it all figured out, but they have a brain that in a way that makes you want to follow him.
Yeah.
And he had that. So rest in peace, the great Bill Walton.
I love volcanoes.
By the way, I was looking back. So he won the NBA Finals MVP in '77, and of course the title here. Can you name the starting five on that team?
We have Bill Walton. You had Bobby Gross.
Yeah.
You had Lionel Hollins.
Yeah.
You had Mo Lucas.
Yeah.
Who am I missing?
The fifth one is the hard one.
Who am I missing?
And I did not. I had no idea.
Who am I missing?
Not a big name. Here, anyway.
I don't. I'm missing it.
Well, now I have to look it up. I think it's Johnny Davis.
Oh,
am I right about that?
That sounds right.
I think that's who it was. Hold on.
I think you're right.
Stand by.
Blazers starting lineup.
Have you ever been to a volcano?
Yes. Yes, I have.
Johnny
Bill.
Davis.
Johnny Davis.
From Dayton.
Well, there you go.
He was the starting guard on that team.
Yeah, that was the one where, again, you're going through and you're like,
yeah, the other four famously, but Johnny Davis. Why does no one ever remember Johnny Davis?
Poor Johnny Davis.
Poor Johnny Davis.
8 points, 1 rebound, 9 assists.
Yeah, he was a guard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was one of the guards. Shoot, I remember more backups on that team than I did Johnny Davis.
Yeah, some of their backups are more
famous,
at least around here.